It's Monday, March 16th, and you're watching the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by our good friends over at FanDuel. I'm your host for today, Jason Cooper, alongside my producer.
What's up, Jay?
Mike Bennett behind the boards, keeping things running as always. Excited to get into the show today. We got a great show for you today. Guess what? It's mid-March. You know what that means. College basketball all week on the Hammer Daily. So if this is your first time watching, this is your first time tuning in, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below because this is what we're going to be covering all week for the next couple weeks. College basketball galore. Plus, we'll mix in some other sports. Don't worry. We'll still be doing hockey. Still be doing normal basketball, NBA stuff, golf, outrights, everything. But more of a focus on March Madness this week and the next couple weeks. I'm excited to get into things. We have a great show for you today. Jam-packed with college basketball stuff. We got Corby Craig leading off on the Monday, as he always does. Again, what else are we going to talk about? March Madness is as simple as that. But before we get into that, I want to talk to him about the World Baseball Classic. He's a big fan of the U.S. Probably wasn't watching the game, but the U.S. did win. Congratulations to him. I will say we had a bet, though. Canada versus U.S. Canada lost, but won against the spread. So thank you very much. I'll be happy that Corby's going to be placing a $100 bet for me.
You were probably jumping for joy when Bo Naylor smacked that ball.
I was like hyped because I'm like, there's a chance that we could win this game.
Absolutely.
And I was like, they lost. I'm like, you know what? The Americans can keep their baseball. I'm not really
Bednar just shut us down.
Yeah, not really too big about baseball. Bednar, by the way, has had a great tournament
Correct.
so far. But yes, Corby owes me a bet live on the show. He's going to pull up his FanDuel. Probably not put it on screen, but he's going to pull up his FanDuel. He's going to click my Toronto Blue Jays 17-1 to win the World Series. $100 for me. Thank you very much, Corby. Appreciate that. After that, we got Matt Russell coming on. More March. We're going to go through more. So I don't want to say game by game. We're going to go through some of the games he likes in the first four. And, of course, the round of 64. And he's going to talk us through that. We see some like really big spreads on the board. We might see some even bigger ones depending on who wins the first four games. I think like Arizona is favored by like 31.5 points. We're seeing some big numbers. Michigan might be 40-point favorites. It's going to be fun to see. We're going to talk about all that with Matt Russell, plus some futures. It's Monday. You guys know what that means. Stock up, stock down time. World Baseball Classic happened last night. We talked a little bit about that. The Dominicans, listen, they should have won that game. They got jobbed a little bit. Stock up. ABS, get that shit in there right now. What are we doing? Why was it not implemented for this tournament? I don't understand. They're implementing it this year in the MLB. They've been practicing. They've been using it AAA, AA, single A. They know how it works. They should have had the ABS at the World Baseball Classic. Now, if the ump gets that call right, did the Dominicans win? Probably not. Am I salty because I had Dominican futures and Junior Caminero to an MVP? Yes, very. But let's figure this stuff out. Let's get stock up. Let's bring in the ABS a little bit more. Stock down. All the girlfriends, the wives, the partners of sports betting fans and college basketball fans. Because listen, come here, come closer. You're not going to see him for the next couple weeks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. You're not going to see him. Just get used to it. Come around to it.
It's true.
You're not going to see him. Make sure you go buy her flowers. Make sure you make her a nice dinner over the next couple days. Clear out the Amazon cart. Go look at her Amazon. Clear out the cart for her. Be like, honey, I want to do you a huge favor because I love you.
Clean the house.
Do something because you know what? Over the next couple of weeks, you're not seeing each other. It's it. That's it.
I feel bad for any girlfriend, wife, partner who has a birthday during this time.
Oh, that's brutal.
That's a tough one.
That's brutal. You just got to make it extra special a couple weeks after her birthday. Because, listen, honey, I can't.
Just be like, look, there's so much money to be won. If this happens, you're getting spoiled. Like, simple.
Honey, we can't go out to dinner tonight. I got to watch Kentucky take on Santa Clara. It's like, I'm sorry. It's just not happening. It's not happening. Anyways, appreciate you guys joining the show. Let us know what you're doing for your partners, if you have partners. Lucky me, I don't. So I'm cruising. I'm cruising these next couple of weeks. I'll be locked in my house, locked in my apartment, firing away. Anyways, appreciate you guys for joining us for today's show. Do us a favor, smash the like button if you haven't already. And if you're new to the channel as well, hit that subscribe button. Charles, I see you in the chat saying stock up Toronto Maple Leafs. Ban him.
No, we're not banning anybody.
I'm kidding.
We love our people. We love our supporters.
Love Charles. All right, let's get into the show today. Really excited to bring him on. Really excited to talk ball with him. College basketball and college football originator. He wants me to call him an NFL originator as well after he won one Super Bowl prop. The pride of UAB, Corby Craig. How's it going?
Yeah, there's a lot to get into, Jason. I honestly, I don't even know where to start here. First off, let me just start with you didn't have to reference that you don't have a girlfriend. It was obvious. We knew. We knew. But outside of that, yeah, I owe a bet. Listen, I'll say the Canadians got me. They were so happy that their team only lost by 2. You know, shout out to you guys. We'll be so sad over here in the championship. No, I did not watch the game. No, I have no clue who they were playing, but I do know, Jason, they won and they're in the championship. And now I know what you're thinking. Are you going to watch the championship?
No.
Maybe. First 4 is happening. We'll see.
Okay.
But what I do know is when they win, I will have a jersey. And I will be playing Toby Keith, Jason. I can guarantee you that.
All right. That's, you know what? You're allowed to do that. I have a question for you, though. It's a little bit related to baseball here for a second. A lot of people on the internet sort of joke, and you're a Dodgers fan, so I feel like you can kind of come out this unbiasedly here. But a lot of people joke about Aaron Judge being on, let's call it fraud watch for like in big moments. Like, has he had a big time at bat in his career? Am I crazy? Like, what's the deal with this guy? He's supposed to be the best player in the world, and it's like can't come up in the big moments.
Yeah, if he was Canadian, you'd like him. But yeah, he definitely he definitely has had glimmers of it. But yeah. I attribute it to lack of sample size. You know, when you're on the Yankees and it's unfortunate when you have to play the Dodgers, Jason. As you would know, everyone looks silly when they play the Dodgers. So no, it's just it's you like how I just spin everything about being back to Canada based. Yeah. I enjoy it actually. I find it pretty fun. But no, I mean obviously he's really a baseball player. Anyone who's calling fraud watch is probably the same people who think LeBron James stinks, hasn't been good for 20 years. Like it's the same people. So no, Judge is great. Sit back, enjoy watching one of the best do what he's good at. And yeah, more important, Jason, I have to tell you some news. I bet $100 on the Toronto Blue Jays to win the World Series this morning. Thank you. Not only did I find the worst price I could bet it at, it is a real price though. I got you A, the worst price. B, at a it gets worse. At B, I got it for you on a local bookie. So he might ghost. If it wins,
what the hell is this?
But I can show the ticket, and I did text him and told him.
You don't have to show the ticket. Don't worry about it. Also, this is a joke. Corby just messing around. He bet it on FanDuel. Show sponsors. Appreciate that. Thank you for using the FanDuel Sportsbook app, Corby. Appreciate it.
It was best price FanDuel, actually.
Yeah.
Being dead serious, it was best price FanDuel.
So if anyone has a similar bet to me or wants to tail me, Toronto Blue Jays on a $100 free roll. Thank you very much, Corby. I appreciate it. Looking forward to that cashing. Make the Dodgers
loss. Looking at myself, to be honest, I was like, "This is a waste of $100."
Oh my goodness! No, you're joking. You don't do that stuff.
I don't.
You don't. Good. All right. Let's get into March. It's March Madness.
This is what I do. This is what we do. We don't do the jokes, but we do March Madness.
We do March Madness. We love March Madness. Quickly before we get into March Madness, though, before we talk first four, any big takeaways from the conference tournaments? I mean, like some pretty big losses there. UConn loses to St. Mary's. Michigan loses to Purdue. Like talk me through big reactions from your conference tournaments. Do you think that'll have like a ripple effect into the tournament?
Yeah, the UConn St. Mary's game was pretty crazy, Jason. They lost to St. John's. I just wanted to give you
Did I say St. Mary's? Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you more Monday plus. I'm gonna go one more thing before we dive into it. Y'all don't have a March Madness bracket with me as the 3 seed yet, so I'm pretty upset by that. I was told blame Kirk Evans.
Yes.
He is officially the 12 seed in it. I'll just make it for you. He is the 12 seed because he doesn't allow Jason to make the bracket. But yeah, as we have talked about in the baseball world and the college football world, no, I'm not too worried about what happened in the conference championships. My number is pretty set in stone. There were injuries that I worry about. But do I think that Florida is now beatable because they lost to Vandy? Do I think Michigan is awful because they lost to Purdue? Do I think UConn is bad because they lost to St. John's? No. That's what November, December, January, February, and March were for. And so now my opinions are made. I stand pretty strong by them. And even better, Jason, I come to you today with a wager or two. So if we get into it, I might poke around some bets around here.
I love it. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go region by region. You're going to talk us through what you see in that region, talk us some key games, give us sort of the background, and then I want you to do 3 things for us here, okay? You're going to give us who is on fraud watch, which team, let's call it a top 8 seed. Which of those top 8 seeds are going to be fraudulent or have a chance to be upset? Who's going to make it out? Who'll be there in the Final Four representing that region? And then give me one Cinderella for each region. We're going to start with the East region here. Biggest thing for me that I see, the biggest takeaway is a ton of blue buds. Duke, UConn, Michigan State, Kansas, St. John's, Louisville, UCLA, Ohio State. The People's Region, can we call it that?
That's what people were saying.
All right.
I'm hearing it too.
Okay.
The buzz is coming. The People's Region. I'm getting it in right now.
All right. Talk us through this one here. Duke obviously is the favorite to come out of here, but again, depth questioned with their injuries. Talk us through this region.
Oh, yeah. You know, it would be nice if I was prompted and I was smart enough to have a bracket ready for me. But keep talking for a second, Jason. Let me
I got you. So we're going to start off with the East region here with Duke. What are they, like 30-point favorites? 29.5-point favorites against Siena.
All right, we're good.
There we go. Duke and Siena. Let's go. Talk us through it.
You bought time. There we go. I was like, I mean, I could wing it, but So you asked for a.
So I want just tell us a little bit about the region. Then give us a who's on Fraud Watch.
Yeah, this is my favorite region of them all. The People's Region, some are saying. Not everybody, some are saying it. But yeah, it's Duke's to win. I look at an Ohio State team who's going to have issues. They have a big man who kind of wants to stretch the floor, and he's going to have to guard Cam Boozer, so good luck there. St. John's, Northern Iowa, is an interesting one. I bet Northern Iowa, the dog get open. Do I think they could win that game? Not really. But that total's 134. I believe I saw 132.5. One of these teams wants to play really fast. One of these teams wants to play really slow, and yet the tempo is being dragged down towards the dog here. Like if this was St. John's favored tempo pace, it probably plays in the 40s. So Northern Iowa, I think, has a live shot. A really good defense. Do I think they're competent to score enough? No, but St. John's has showed they can't really shoot. I'm going to skip over the Kansas game because that's going to be one of my best bets for the show, so I'll come back to it. Louisville, South Florida. South Florida's going to be a trendy dog for good reason. If Michael Brown's back, like Louisville's awesome. But I believe South Florida opened 7.5. I think they're 5.5 now. I do not have anything in front of me, of course. Michigan State, fraud watch.
You're good. You're good. Go. You're good. I mean, my internet on my computer. You're good. You're good. Go. Keep going.
Yeah, it's messed up. Come on. Michigan State, fraud watch. There you go. You wanted a fraud. I'm going to go 3-seed Michigan State. I think they can obviously win in the first round, but Louisville or South Florida, I think, gives them a pretty hefty shot. UCLA, UCF. The issue is UCLA has an injury to Tyler Bilodeau, who that would be an issue. I think he's going to try to play, but he has a knee sprain. Good luck trying to run down the floor versus a UCF team who wants to sprint. I'm going to take the 10 seed there. And I think UCF has a viable shot versus UConn team who is probably one of the weaker 2 seeds. Comes to best, we'll go to a Final Four of Duke. And let's make it spicy. Let's go Duke, South Florida. I think South Florida could very easily lose the first game. But if they don't, I think they have a shot to beat a Michigan State team, possibly a UCF UConn spot. So Duke, South Florida, just to change it up a little bit. And then the only game that I skipped would be Kansas, Cal Baptist. Kansas has locker room issues. It's been kind of noted like this team is not in a good spot. And Cal Baptist has a kid who scored 47 this year. Their starting point guard, the March Madness, the Cinderella story, Jason, some would say. Some are calling it that. I adamantly disagree. This Cal Baptist team has a kid who scored 47 because he only shoots the basketball. Kansas has a true guarding guard in Melvin Council. Cal Baptist player Dom Daniels, he is listed 5'10". I would guess he's probably closer to 5'8". And Melvin Council's a true 6'4". So good luck getting a shot off of him. Cal Baptist team total is 62.5. I have no clue how they score 60. I took this under 138.5. I see 137.5 minus 05 FanDuel. Great price. Kansas internal issues. Cal Baptist not able to score. I think both of those things, 1 + 1 equals an under here for the Kansas Cal Baptist game.
All right, Kansas Cal Baptist under is what we're looking for there. One of the better prices in market, available at FanDuel. Okay, so talk us through who you think is. South Florida is primed to be the Cinderella of this side of the bracket.
Yeah, I'd say South Florida, Cinderella, Michigan State, the upset fraud watch, which go very much hand in hand. They would lose to South Florida, and ultimately this is Duke's to win.
All right, Duke's to win here. Let's move on to the next region. Let's talk the South region here. Florida, Houston, Illinois. You actually really like Illinois. I know from talking with you, you like them a lot in this region. Talk us through this.
Yeah, Florida seems like a susceptible one. I would say if there was one, it's probably them right now. They're still incredible, but Yeah, so Florida, you can click them a few times here. I have Iowa over Clemson. I see a lot of people giving Clemson love. Clemson cannot guard guards. They don't have good guards. You said Birmingham, UAB alum. Clemson has Butta Johnson, UAB Blazer, who I could not believe got a scholarship to Clemson. He is not. He is not that guy. Vandy, pretty easy round one. Here you go, future Vandy to make the Sweet 16 plus 05. And that's going to lead us right into the next one, which is my fraud and Cinderella, I guess you could call it. Nebraska and Troy. I think Troy is a live shot to beat Nebraska. I believe they're a 13.5 point dog. I played that number. Troy beat San Diego State. This is I don't have it in front of me. So that would be nice, but I'm gonna dome piece this, Jason. They beat San Diego State in double overtime this year. They lost to USC in triple overtime, and they beat a good Akron team by 10. From a talent standpoint, usually these type of schools struggle because you're just like, you go play a team that's just significantly more athletic than you. But Nebraska isn't that. Nebraska all year has been just like a fundamental 3-point shooting, rink mass, pull the ball. Like, I think Troy matches up pretty well with that, honestly. So Nebraska is going to be my fraud. Troy's going to be my Cinderella. Ultimately, I think they both lose to Vandy in the second round. So not the most fun Cinderella, but a 13/4 has to be considered Cinderella. Come on, here we go. Scrolling down, nothing really interests me. I think Illinois has a pretty easy draw. Houston could lose to St. Mary's if St. Mary's was to win that game. I will go Florida, Illinois for my Final Four there. Not the most or Elite Eight there, and not the most crazy.
Yeah, you like Illinois over Florida here, just because I know you're. Are you an Illinois guy? You're an Illinois guy, right? Like your futures are.
No, it's Sammy P. But no, I do like Illinois. I think they're a good basketball team. Don't get me wrong, but no, I'm not just some bandwagon Illinois guy, Jason. What the hell are you talking about?
I don't know. I'm just looking at something that you sent me here, and it says Illinois over Florida. But anyways, whatever.
When did I send you this?
This weekend. We'll talk later about it. All good. Let's move on to the next region here, the West region. Talk us through this region here. Arizona, obviously the number 1 seed. Gonzaga, Purdue, some great teams here. You already picked a couple crazy upsets. Anything you like in this one, or is this one going to be the more chalkier side of the bracket?
Arizona's going to beat the hell out of Long Island. Unfortunate for Long Island, they've been a fun story. The fins up, Jason. I know you've seen that. Everybody's been enjoying it, but there it is. Look at that. You're just a man of integrity there. Yeah, Long Island has 2 good guards, Greg Gordon and Malachi Davis, and they will be the 6th and 7th best player on the court, which is just not going to bode well for them. I scrolled through this bracket pretty quick, or this side of the bracket. I think Arkansas has trouble with Hawaii. Hawaii is I believe the number 1 team in just like length, overall team length. The issue is they play no-help defense on purpose. It's like a style of defense, which is crazy, and it's going to allow Darius Acuff to do basically whatever he wants. But if he doesn't, like, I do think that he's forced into a lot of mid-range jumpers. So 15.5 felt like too many for Hawaii. The 11 seed, I know trends aren't an important thing in life, but worth noting that the play-in game 11 usually has some success versus 6, and a BYU very talented from the one player standpoint, but I do think they're a susceptible 6. So the 11 there, if it's Texas, would interest me. And then the bottom, pretty straightforward. I think it's just Purdue. And then I did take a flyer on Purdue point guard Braden Smith, as you might know from the Wooden Awards. I took Braden Smith to win the most valuable player of the conference. Okay. I just think they have a really easy ride. I'm going to burn all my money on Braden Smith futures and awards. It's just lost the Wooden, so I was like, all right, let's go to the next one.
Let's go again, run it back.
Yeah, so I think they have a pretty easy route. He's going to break the NCAA record for most assists in the tournament, and if they make it to the Final Four, I think it's his to lock up. So I took that earlier this morning.
All right, give us a Cinderella for this region. Who makes it out and who's on Fraud Watch?
Yeah, let's go Fraud Watch, Gonzaga.
Okay.
I just think they have a lot of issues. Everybody's like, Huff might come back. There's a lot of like potential ceiling upside, but man, I don't know if you know this, Jason. We're almost done with the ceiling. We're almost done with the season, so like upside doesn't matter.
Upside doesn't. Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call the 3 seed Gonzaga Fraud Watch because I circled the next game, which I just talked about. I think if the Texas Longhorns can beat BYU, they have a very viable shot to beat Gonzaga, and they would play Purdue to a really good game because they are just guards. Like Kaufman-Wren looks like he might be like dealing with some kind of something. He's been hobbling a ton. Texas has all the guards. Sean Miller's a great coach. They very easily could lose the playing game, but if they don't, I think they have a decent run to be like the Cinderella, which granted, I did the same thing in the SEC tournament. I think this team is good. But I bet Texas to make it to the Sweet 16, I believe it's a pretty big plus money. I think this team's pretty solid and probably lose in the first 4, and then I look like a goofball here.
All right, all good. Who do you have in the Elite Eight here? Who makes it out for you? Arizona, Purdue?
Yeah, I think so. But we're on a show, so let's make it a little more fun. Let's make it Arizona, Texas.
All right, there you go.
2 11s in the Elite Eight so far.
Perfect. I love it. Listen, we're covering all our bases because guess what? If it doesn't happen, everyone's going to forget about it. But if it does happen, we got great clips coming up for social media. So sharp there.
A man of media. There, he knows what he's doing.
You're the one picking it. You're the one who knows what you're doing. Let's close it out here with the Midwest region. Michigan, of course, the best team. Well, I'm told is the best team in the tournament. I'm told I should be betting on them to win.
Who's telling you these things?
Their conference tournaments.
It wasn't me. You have the wrong text history, Jason. I'm telling you, you got the wrong text history.
Let's roll back the tape on the Hammer Daily on Monday last week and tell me who you had to win. I think it was Michigan minus 105 to win the tournament.
Oh, to win the conference tournament. Yeah, that's possible. I do believe that. Yeah. Okay, whatever. I'm a Yaxel fan. I thought you meant this tournament. I was like, I have not been.
No, sorry.
I don't have a seat. I see. Okay.
I meant their conference tournament, but again, odds are they're the best in the tournament right now, based on the odds on FanDuel, right?
Yeah. All right, let's dive into this.
Talk it.
I've got some hot takes here.
Let's hear it.
And one of them I have just been convinced within like the last hour by the boy himself, Jeff Nadeau. All right, so we're gonna skip through the top half of this because it's gonna get more fun when I come back to it. Texas Tech over Akron. Akron's a fun team. I wanted to root for them. Pretty bad draw for them. They're guard heavy. They like to run. They play like some pretty feisty defense, and good luck doing that versus Texas Tech. So don't like that. Alabama Hofstra. This becomes very interesting because Aiden Holloway, the man himself, just got caught with a pound of weed. And, he might play. NATO is pretty susceptible to allowing his students to play basketball, but he did this morning. Unless I'm being goofballed on Twitter, I believe he did get caught with a pound of weed. 9
minutes ago, arrested. So
yep. So
from Yahoo
good
Sports.
Luck without Aiden Holloway. Hofstra shoots a ton of threes. They play really slow. They could annoy Alabama pretty quick. Do I think they win outright? Probably not. What are you laughing at? Am I wrong? Was this
no. I just think it's like, how do you get caught with a pound of weed in like the year of 2026? But yeah,
it's bad timing too. Yeah. Like do it next week or something. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Also, like what are the chances that someone from Hofstra like sort of planted this on him, or like someone had like an inside job, like a girl sleeping over, being like, hey, there's a pound of weed here if you
something, man. I don't know. Yeah, Alabama's done crazier. I scroll down to the bottom. I see Santa Clara 10 seed, and I get a text from one of my friends who doesn't watch college basketball, and he said, "Man, I've been watching some Santa Clara highlights. This team is legit." So I will not be on Santa Clara, the 10 seed. Just go ahead and stay away from that trendy dog. I think they're a favorite right now. I could be wrong there, but I will be on Kentucky for my brackets there. I imagine Santa Clara is going to be clicked a ton. Yada, yada, scroll through, think that most of this one is pretty boring, except the top. Or Jason, this is where I come back to the man himself, Jeff Nadeau, and I say, if Georgia plays Michigan, Georgia is going to be a 17-point dog per KenPom, so probably close to like 14.5, 15. I'm not saying they're going to win outright, Jason, but I'm saying if you put lineup versus lineup without LJ Kaysen, Georgia it's like Walmart is Publix, or not Walmart. Michigan is Publix, right? It's a great place, fundamental. You know what you're getting. Georgia's like Walmart, and like sometimes you got to go to Walmart, Jason. And like they have all the same pieces. They're just a little worse. Michigan has one of the best blockers in the nation, and Mari 7'2". Of course, he should block everything. Georgia, 4th best blocker in the nation. Michigan has a 3-point shooting power forward, Yaxel Lindenberg, who's given a lot of people a lot of trouble from a matchup standpoint. Guess what Georgia has? A 4 who shoots threes, 6'9". Michigan has a really weak point guard. I've talked about this all year. Elliot Cadeau, and their backup point guard gets hurt. Jason, guess what Georgia has? They have 2 of the nation's top 200 steal rate point guards. if I was in a major bracket pool and I needed like just some crazy upset to make my bracket stand out in these just massive pools, Georgia over Michigan would be it. Do I think it happens? Probably not. Should I say it on a show because it's going to be able to be clipped when Michigan wins by 30? It was probably a bad idea, but I'm going to lock in Georgia to beat Michigan in the sweep or in the round of 32.
All right.
And that's a hot take because Georgia's only a 1-point favorite in the round of 64.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a hot take, and this is one of those this is one of those takes that it's so hot that it's going to be clipped and going to social media today, and you'll probably be dunked on come Friday or sorry, come the weekend. But again, if not, even if the game's close, we're going to victory lap it.
And here's the crazy thing about this, Jason, and I enjoy that I said it because we have a live chat and they can say, "Oh, you were wrong about Michigan. They won." Like, no shit. They're the number one seed. Like, what are we talking about here? Oh, Corby was wrong. He had an 8 seed beating a 1. Like, get out of here. But it gets more fun, Jason. As I talked about, Bama is going to be without Aiden Holloway, probably, unless they Brandon Miller or something. If Georgia wins that game, they play Texas Tech, who has their best player has been hurt for the last 2 months. Like, this gets interesting where Georgia could be in the Elite Eight. And you know what? I'll say it. I'm here for it. We already got 2 11s in our Elite Eight, Jason. Give me Georgia as my Cinderella. Give me Michigan as my fraud, which is just an awful thing to say out loud. This is going to come back to bite me pretty hard. And then my bracket is going to be Iowa State, Georgia in the Elite Eight.
All right, Iowa State, Georgia in the Elite Eight. That's a crazy bracket that you've built for us here. But again, the whole idea of the fraud watch wasn't to try to like gotcha or anything. It's just teams that teams that could lose. That doesn't mean that they will lose. It just means that, you know what? They might not cover all their spreads as they make their way to the finals and win. Like if Michigan were to not cover and win, I think you were right about the fraud watch.
The best part about this is the people who are going to make fun of it are the guys who have 4 1 seeds in their Final Four.
Yeah.
Oh, can't believe you didn't have Florida winning. It's like, dude, shut up.
Yeah, like go have fun with your 5 friends like March Madness pool. Like good, you won $30.
I will say if you're doing a small pool, choose chalk. If you're doing a medium pool, choose mostly chalk. And if you're doing a large pool, don't choose Georgia because I'm going to be choosing Georgia. And so then we'd have to split the money, and that would just become really awkward. And then you would also be sitting on a ticket for the Toronto Blue Jays to win the MLB World Series, and then you're just in a really bad spot. Both of us are. We're in a pickle. We have all this money. We won the big pool, and now we got to give Jason $100 back because it's going to lose.
All right. Listen, I appreciate you joining the show, Corby. Before you head out here, question from TQ1219. Loves your stuff, by the way. Always in the chat, giving you compliments here. Just wondering, you said you had a great call on Brandon Smith as Player of the Year for Purdue. It isn't going to get there, but do you think Purdue is live for the national championship? I think it's 22 to 1. Are they 40 to 1?
Man, it's tough. I will say, shout out Braden Smith. My favorite ticket is fun tickets that lose, and here we are. I've talked about it on the show. This is what I'm here for. I'm not here to give winners. I'm here to give funners. Do I think that Purdue has a chance to win the championship? Given their draw, maybe. Given the film, it would be tough for me to put money on this team. I think they have a lot of issues. I think if you want them to win the championship, you bet Braden Smith to win the tournament MVP because he's going to break the NCAA record. If they make it to the Final Four, you're going to need like Cam Boozer, just go crazy game for him to win it. But every team kind of has 2 guys. So I would say Braden Smith to win the tournament MVP, break the record, have a good series, and beat expectation probably is my bet there.
All right, makes perfect sense there, Corby. Appreciate you joining the show. Before you head out, who's winning the entire thing? Just go off the cuff. Who have you bet on already in futures? Talk to me what you got. Yeah,
it's my profile picture on Twitter right now. My biggest position is Duke to win the national championship. So I'm just the worst kind of guy, Jason. I'll admit it. I'm rooting for Duke, and then when baseball season comes, I'm gonna have Dodgers tickets. Like this is just it's not fun, but I do think that ultimately the cream rises to the top. This team is really good. They dealt with a bunch of injuries. That could be an issue. But those injuries also gave backups time to perform in the ACC tournament. So, yeah, it's Duke for me. And if you wanted like a flyer,
What's he laughing for? What are you laughing for? Go.
Georgia would be my flyer, but I would be astonished to see the price on that. It has to be crazy.
Georgia's 400 to 1. So there you go. There you go. Seen crazier. Anyways,
if you bet, Jason, I'll give you one last parting gift.
Yeah.
If you bet $1 on Georgia to win the national championship, you would have $99 more than me after the baseball season ends. So shout out to you. You would lose $1 and I would lose 100. So it's not the worst bet.
There you go. Corby, appreciate you joining the show. Appreciate you bringing the energy as always on Mondays. We'll chat soon.
All right, boys.
Awesome stuff there from Corby. I wonder if we can double up on him this week. I don't want to pump his tires too much, but I enjoy when he comes on the show.
Oh, he's a blast, man.
I think the chat enjoys it as well. Chat's going crazy. TQ1219 saying he wants to do a Duke Dodgers parlay and wait for World Cup. Could be interesting.
Yeah.
Could be interesting. Anyways, we got our next guest, Matt Russell, coming on in just a second. Before we do that, let's give a shout out to our friends over at FanDuel. Tournament is here, and on FanDuel, it's time to do a little dance. Right now, FanDuel is dropping bonus bets into every account for the tournament. All you have to do is opt in and claim your bonus. Use them on your bracket picks, money line spreads, totals, game props, or even same game parlays. Got an upset? Rolling with a 1 seed? Calling for chaos. However you're playing the tournament, FanDuel is giving you a little extra to get in on the action from the very first tip. But don't wait. These bonus bets are only available for a limited time. So open the FanDuel app and see what's waiting for you. FanDuel, it's time to dance. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, affiliation of Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $500 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-79-7777 or visit ccpg.org/China, Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 1-877-770-7867 in Louisiana. All right. Some great bonuses there.
I didn't even realize the basketball is a disco ball, too.
I know,
very creative. A1 to the FanDuel creative team, man.
They're doing a great job there.
Absolutely. We love FanDuel.
Quickly, before we bring on Matt here, just a quick reminder. Right after this show hits off the air, we're going to be heading over to the other room over there. I'm going to be sprinting over. Circle back live on the Circles Off YouTube channel. Myself, Jacob, Rob, and Jeff Feinberg. Should be an interesting one. That Atlantic article was something to be said about that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. But yeah.
Caught big traction.
Yeah.
And of course, someone in Vegas.
Oh yeah. Well, anyways, we'll talk all that and more on Circle Back over on the Circles Off YouTube channel. Oh, what a surprise! It's actually I'm actually happy because this is like one of the very few times where you see gambling Twitter come together and agree on something. We all love to argue out there, but this is the first time I've seen them like truly one voice saying, "The guy who wrote that article, not
the best,
not the best intentions at the very least." Anyways, appreciate you guys joining the show. Do us a favor, smash the like button, and let's bring on our next guest here. He's a contributor over at Yahoo Sports. He does written work and a podcast called The Window. You can find it on his Substack in his description on Twitter, which you can find in the link down below. Matt Russell, good friend of the show. How's it going?
Spectacularly. We're talking college basketball. A lot of people for the first time all season, which is always exciting. But, we get the bracket. I don't know if anybody actually prints them out anymore, but we got bracket in hand. And, maybe we're just waving around iPads these days when it comes to the bracket. But, nonetheless, man, we got a bracket. So, how bad could we be doing on a Monday? I guess we're early afternoon now. So fired up to be here. Fired to see you, Jace.
Yeah, excited to get into things quickly. Are you a bracket printer? Do you like to print out your bracket? You're old school with that? Like, how do you feel?
I do, actually. It's funny that I went down this road because I have to wait for my wife to print it out because we don't have a printer because it's 2026. So her big mission when she goes to work is like, all right, got to hit the printer. Got to sneak off at lunch to print off 11 copies of the bracket so that we can have them spread out. But yeah, I can't wait that long to dig into it, of course. But yeah, once I do have an idea of sort of where I'm going with it, yeah, we're filling out the hard copy in a big way. We get the highlighter out for victory. We get the red pen out for defeat. Not that we plan on having many defeats this bracket.
Yeah, we're praying for a green bracket all the way around. Yeah. A green March for all of us. I know it's St. Paddy's Day tomorrow, so hopefully we can
I'm a yellow highlighter guy.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't want to like mess with the like gambling gods and just start swinging green around.
Okay.
Being really aggressive about
Like
it.
dangling it in their face. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, easy, slow down, green guys. Like, let's just move guys on. Let's just advance some teams here and not not make a big scene.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into things. Let's get into some bets. Let's talk about it because I know you have a lot of stuff to talk about here. I'm excited.
Sure.
To get in things. Let's talk first. UMBC Howard playing tomorrow. Texas NC State playing tomorrow. Do you like any of those two games here at all? Do you have any bets for us in these games?
Either of those. I mean, you listen. I'm going to side with UMBC. Howard. If you look at the KenPom ratings, you don't know where you can't find Howard because they're too high for a MEAC team. Like nobody, like since when was a MEAC team like where up where they are? But they scheduled really difficult, right? Then listen, they got pummeled by Northwestern, Duke, Missouri in the non-conference. They had a couple of sort of step up games where they actually won, and then they played the MEAC, which has literally every one of their teams in the bottom 15 of the entire nation. So their rating is actually I think a little artificially high. It's one of those things where it's like if you see something out of whack, or in this case out of MEAC. There's probably something that's worth betting against there, and to me the idea of them being only a 1.5 point underdog to a UMBC team that's pretty good, while it makes sense from like a market rating perspective. Again, I think that's a little bit influenced by some of the stuff that Howard was doing in the non-conference that is going to look good in the metrics, because when you do anything against Duke. Even if you lose by 100 points, like it's going to look okay in KenPom because that's how good Duke's numbers are, right? Because once you start comparing all of this stuff. So, yeah, when you're a MEAC team and you're actually playing some of these other teams that are really, really good, then, it's going to get artificially inflated. And I think we saw that in their conference tournament, by the way, where they had an incredibly lucky front door cover in their first game and then were in a bit of a dogfight in their final where they didn't come close to covering.
All right, Howard, it seems like is where you're siding here.
UMBC.
Sorry, UMBC is where you're siding here.
More of a Howard fade, yeah.
More of a Howard fade. Okay, Texas, NC State. This is, again, a pick 'em. Corby came on the show, says he loves Texas. Do you agree with him here? You think...
I actually don't.
Okay.
I love Corby's work, but honestly, to me, it's everybody wants to kind of jump on Will Wade. But Will Wade, when he's actually coaching, has had some decent tournament success, obviously getting the upset last year with McNeese over Clemson. In 2 tournaments that he coached in, LSU got to 3. He happened to get fired before he actually got to coach in that 3rd one because of things that you can do now that you couldn't do back then. Allegedly, but they actually won games. The LSU Tigers actually won games, in the NCAA tournament. And so you've got this pick'em game with this more veteran team, right? Not the best team money can buy, but certainly a lot of money bought this team. And so they've got these guys who, a lot of seniors, a lot of 4th-year guys, right? Darian Williams from Texas Tech last year. Both of these teams struggled down the stretch, right? But Texas is reliant on a freshman. They're reliant on Sean Miller, obviously sort of a big brand name, if you will. But all Sean Miller did once he got hired by Arizona was disappoint with a loaded Arizona roster, right? We are right in the middle of the annual, the block is super hot on Arizona, right? Because they were the one team of the big 4, if you will, to really run through their conference tournament. So a lot of people are going to talk themselves into Arizona. Now it's a different Arizona, right? Different coach, all that sort of thing. But like part of the PTSD we have with Arizona is because of Sean Miller and the Wildcats consistently sort of, failing in tournaments, at least relative to expectations. So I've not been a fan of this Texas team all season long. It's one of those where like the numbers might look a little bit better than what's actually happening on the court. And I would give NC State at least one shot. And by the way, if they do win, similar to Corby, I think that this could be the team that makes that Sweet 16 run because of some of just the sheer dudes that they have on the team.
Yeah, no, all right. NC State, we're looking at over Texas here. 2 games on Wednesday. Prairie View A&M against Lehigh. You can talk us quickly about this game, but I think the game that everyone wants to talk about is the Miami, Ohio SMU game.
Yeah.
Give us a quick primer on the Prairie View and Lehigh game, and then we'll get to Miami, Ohio.
And the funny part is we could do the entire thing on the Prairie View Lehigh game because I like this game so much.
Okay,
Part of the reason is we sort of discovered, through the process of kind of researching the deep dark web that is the, MEACs and the SWACs and Southlands and so on and so forth, right? Is that this incredibly interesting thing happened with Prairie View, as strange as that is to say, about a team that was the 8th seed in the SWAC tournament. Their second leading scorer, a guy who was averaging almost 20 points a game, gets hurt in the middle of February. And all of a sudden, this team that was like, again, down in the 8-9 range of the SWAC gets better without him. It was one of these deals where I don't know if you've ever, played basketball with a guy who's just getting his shots up and not really doing that much else. The volume scorer type of guy. So Tyrion Joseph gets hurt. They play, 3 or 4 games without him. And now all of a sudden their best player, Dante Horn, gets to take all the shots. And a couple of the other guys who were just watching Tyrion Joseph shoot all the time, they now get to take some shots. And by the way, the team gets a little bit better defensively, and they win a bunch of these games. And so then he comes back. They don't immediately put him back in the starting lineup. They just go, you're going to come off the bench. You can get yours whenever you get yours. He ends up taking like 5 or 6 shots a game when he used to be taking like 18 shots a game. And sure enough, they just run through the SWAC tournament, honestly beating the brakes out of a lot of teams who they were underdogs against, including the final against Southern, where Horn, their best player, didn't even really shoot all that well. So if the market is locked in the SWAC, we would see a massive upgrade in their market rating. They would probably be a favorite in this game, but nobody's paying attention to anything that's happening in the SWAC, right? And so it's just sort of like, oh yeah, like that's their Ken Palm rating, and like that's the number that they should be, and by the way, it's the SWAC, and like they don't really do all that well, in the tournament, and so on and so forth. When it's like, don't evaluate this team off of their season-long stuff, because they are considerably different. They are just fundamentally changed. So we were able to just keep betting them as an underdog throughout the SWAC, right again, into the final against Southern, where they were a 3.5-point favorite, and we're up 20 points in the first half. And now the same thing. Like I was pumped. I was like, this team is going to be in the first 4, and I'm going to be way too invested in their result. And sure enough, right, it's the line opens 2.5, it goes up to 3.5, and again, listen, Lehigh might win this game. They're a pretty good team. They won their tournament winning 3 home games in a row, not over 3 days, over the course of 8 days. And they were one Nazir Whitlock, who is their best player, half-court buzzer beater away from losing in their first round, the quarterfinals, to Holy Cross on their own floor. So, like, I think we need to pump the brakes at Lehigh, and I think people aren't necessarily seeing what they need to see when it comes to Prairie View. But you asked me about the big game, and, listen, I think they blew it. I think the committee blew it with the idea of, like, we had Auburn
yeah, right there.
versus Miami. Like, we had it.
It was right there.
It was just right there. And so, like, you can say that, like, the committee did a good job with other stuff or whatever, but, like, that, like, invalidates all decision-making across the board. When this is a TV show. This is a TV show on True TV, which is a thing that I don't know that anybody knows exists until this week. How do you blow this opportunity? And so the unfortunate part is now we're going to get to see the Miami Redhawks get blown out by a team that nobody really has any sort of interest in, which is SMU. And speaking of sort of personnel, SMU finishes the season, I think they're like 1-4, 1-5 down the stretch, because they lost one of their best players and one of their key players in BJ Edwards. He's not the leading scorer, but he's averaging like 13 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He's the guy who's doing everything for that team. And they have a 3-guard lineup, and they have honestly 3 of the best guards, or the best 3-guard lineup in the nation. They shot the best from 3 in the ACC this year. And so the matchup is such where SMU's been downgraded a little bit because of the finish that they've had, but BJ Edwards is coming back. And so it's kind of like the reverse of the Prairie View thing, where it's like, actually, we should be judging them on the season long, and even the stuff before Edwards left or was injured, and not the cumulative, given the fact that they haven't played particularly well. Because the problem is they have tried to sub in guys for BJ Edwards, and it has not worked. Like, I'm going to name, they're just kids, right? I don't want to name names here, but like the guys who they have subbed in have been like, can you play like at all? And like the players come in and not played at all. And when you have this 3-guard lineup that you've been relying on all season, and you only have 2 of those guys out there, like that's a pretty big deal. So, the matchup is tough here for Miami, because this is a team that, like, going back to years past, right? They want to play run and gun with you. They'll trade shots with you. That's what makes them the sort of fun team. But SMU, I don't think, is the team that you want to be running and gunning and trading shots with because of how well they shoot. On the assumption that BJ Edwards, who is supposed to be back, is going to be healthy, is going to be able to play. Obviously, getting the extra day with this game being a Wednesday game is certainly going to be helpful there. People will say like, oh, like it's going to be like a home crowd environment because people are coming up from Oxford, Ohio, to Dayton and all that sort of thing. Yeah, okay, that's cool, but like again, this is by far the best team that Miami has played all season, and listen, the market's aware of it by making this a 7.5 point spread. You're right, it's 2026. We're not fooling anybody at this point, but I think the matchup is particularly brutal for Miami, and that's why this game is going to be high scoring. You can see it in the total, and again, once you get high scoring, right, points start to matter a little bit less, and a 10-point win is very doable when you're playing that many possessions.
All right, yeah. So you like SMU over Miami, which seems like a lot of people are a fan of that, but Twitter loves Miami too much here.
And Twitter's never been wrong.
No, so Twitter's never been wrong. You've got me. Listen, I came in wanting to talk Miami, Ohio. You got me sold on Prairie View. I cannot wait to watch them. Like they better win this game because listen, plus 140-ish dog in the first 4. I'll take that. And then also getting to play Florida. I'm gonna be clicking that whatever the spread is in that game. I'm gonna be clicking the plus side of it with Prairie View, and I'm gonna watch them and we'll have some fun with it. And if they can beat Florida, even better. All right.
It's not going to happen, but we'll take the plus 35 or whatever it's going to be.
Exactly.
I haven't even looked to see what it would be, but it would be about that.
All right. Talk me through Thursday. We got a loaded slate of games, round of 64. What games do you have circled right now? Which games do you like just based off some of these openers?
Well, it's funny. I felt for Corby when you're talking about the bracket, right? Because like in the biz where, we get all these matchups, the bracket gets announced and we're just sort of, I'm watching it because it's the bracket, but I'm like more into the matchups. And then it's like, oh, wait. And again, part of it is because my wife hasn't shown up with the hard copy yet. But like, I kind of forget, oh yeah, like I'll get to the bracket, which is very different than how I used to do it as a kid or a teenager or whatever. And so now you're talking like Thursdays and Fridays, and it's like, wait a minute, like I got matchups. I'm starting to look at the bracket. I got to get locked in on what day these games are happening because I'll have it memorized, right? It's like going to a test. Listen, we got the Vanderbilt game. I think, the block was almost going to be too hot if Vanderbilt had beaten Arkansas yesterday, right? It would have been like, send them in, like right to the Final Four. Look at this team, because we see that all the time with conference tournaments where like a 3, 4, 5 seed ends up winning it and just people start going absolutely nuts, right? I don't know if it's going to be the case necessarily with Arkansas because people have been wounded by John Calipari in the last, decade. But if Vanderbilt had won, the block was going to be super hot. I still like that team a ton, even though they kind of ran out of gas. They played probably too well against Florida that once, they got that game the next day against Arkansas, it was like, well, they're not going to be able to play that well. So I actually prefer that they lost that game. I think they're going to drill McNeese, who probably should have lost in their semifinal of the Southland tournament. So yeah, minus 11.5 there, certainly viable. I agree with listen to Corby talking about Hawaii earlier on. They're a really interesting team. Again, against Arkansas. So again, part of the thing is like your fade. You guys were talking about frauds. I'm shocked that Corby didn't mention North Carolina, and maybe he thinks that North Carolina, is good. Maybe he's feeling North Carolina there. Look around. There was some VCU +3, +2.5 is probably good here. VCU has lost 1 game since January 10th, and we know this from history. Like VCU is a bitch to play, and North Carolina doesn't seem like. It doesn't seem like this version of this team is it, right? So Caleb Wilson gets hurt, and they actually kind of get underrated in the market, right? Because anytime a star player gets hurt, the market reacts, and you're taking 4, 5 points off of a team's power rating, and then you sort of realize like we sort of talked about with the Prairie View thing. It's like, yeah, but like those shots are going to get sort of moved around, and I'd rather a guy take an open shot than Caleb Wilson taking a tough shot, even if he makes a bunch of them and it's really impressive and he's clearly a good pro prospect, et cetera, et cetera. But, they end up kind of getting underrated. And so they cover a bunch of their the games down the stretch. And listen, it's a super small sample size, both in that case, but then when he officially then sort of re-breaks, I think he broke the other hand, right? Dunking in practice before the Duke game. And so, yeah, they ended up covering the Duke game in like the mother of all back doors when they were down like 20 something. throughout the entire game, and they came through the back door and covered a 15.5, I think it was. So they're going to get credit, if you will, for like, you know, the ATS cover. But then you watch them against Clemson in the ACC tournament, and you're just like, no, this isn't even like a facsimile of the North Carolina team that was never like the most efficient or sort of technically correct basketball team. You know, North Carolina has gotten by for 25 years of throwing the ball up against the backboard and having like bigger and more athletic dudes, you know, offensive rebound and you know, get the other team in foul trouble and so on and so forth. That's not really what this North Carolina team is doing, right? It's Henry Versar is like, you know, not that guy in the middle, and the guard play is thoroughly mediocre. And so when we're talking about this matchup, again, against a team that, like, you know, cue the music, right? All they do is win. You know, I just don't see it with North Carolina, and I think that, you know, they're probably now a little bit overrated because we haven't downgraded them enough now that the Caleb Wilson thing is sort of this official thing that has happened. And VCU probably deserves an upgrade for honestly 2 pretty convincing wins in their A10 tournament. So yeah, give me VCU on Thursday. That's a Thursday evening type of game.
You can rattle off Friday too if you want. Let's just go through
let's
it all.
Just dig into it, man. Hey, you know what? Can just before we go to Friday, I like Penn plus 23.5. They sort of caught me off guard a little bit in the Ivy League tournament, only because they were so underrated relative to their metrics, right? They were an underdog in the semifinal against Harvard. They win that game. I was like, I don't really understand why they're plus 2.5 here. This feels like a pick'em game. And then they were plus 9.5 point dogs against Yale, and they win that game outright. And they have a kid who scored 40 points. At 23.5 with your boy Fran McCaffrey. Like, remember Fran McCaffrey at Iowa, where it was like he was just a technical foul, like, waiting to happen? I had totally forgot that Penn was like, yeah, give me some Fran McCaffrey. Doesn't mean Fran McCaffrey's a bad coach. He's just, you know, at times a raving lunatic. And so I think against Illinois, who doesn't have, you know, the particularly great defense, I think there's a world in which that this game sort of stays inside the number just because Illinois sort of shrugs their shoulders at times defensively. So that's it for Thursday. And then we get into Friday. I was interesting take there from Corby not liking Santa Clara. That's kind of seems like everybody's sort of metric darling, if you will. Texas Tech. They're sort of the rare favorite that's going to be sort of besmirched, right, because of the injury to JT Toppin, and, you know, it's like, oh, they don't have their best player, and that like limits their ceiling. They're only going to go so far because they don't have him available. But that team shoots the lights out and should be able to get whatever shot they want against Akron, who, again, you know, talk about the MAC, right? It all circles back to the MAC. Their 3rd straight tournament win there, but like you're watching Akron and you're just like, I don't think any of these teams are any good in the MAC, which is only, again, sort of supporting the idea of a fade against Miami. I think Texas Tech, you know, blows them out. They're going to be able to shoot the ball as well as they always do in that game. Let's see, what else do we got here? The Iowa-Clemson game's an interesting. Oh, Northern Iowa, the 11.5 seems to be sort of gone away there. I know Corby mentioned that. I wrote that up last night for Yahoo in an article that Corby and I both contributed to. Obviously, the UCLA thing, you know, matters whether Tyler Bilodeau is able to play in that game. The Cal Baptist one, you know, again, to sort of support Corby's comments, we experienced that sort of firsthand in the middle of a night over at the window because we had Utah Valley in that game after having Cal Baptist, sort of investing them from a futures perspective. And he mentioned the top player on Cal Baptist, who, you know, it's one of those deals where against a good team, one player is probably not going to beat them because they're a good team and they're going to, you know, plan and defend against that player. And they were doing it. They were doing it right up to the point where it literally, they were up 6 with like 2.5 minutes to go. And then Daniels goes off and gets, you know, offensive rebound 3-pointer. Then it was like a miss on the other end, or like a free throw miss on the other end, another 3-pointer, and then another miss, and then another 3. And he hits 3 threes in the last 2 minutes of that game to take a 1-point lead. And then Utah Valley actually blows this like perfectly almost executed alley-oop play for the win, which would have been epic. And the kid blows the dunk at the end. But the point is like good teams can defend one singular player. So I think you're probably good to lay the points there with Kansas, even though their ceiling is somewhat capped. And then lastly, super late night at 10:10 on Friday. I like Miami. I was disappointed with how they played in the semifinal game against Virginia in the ACC tournament, but that's a team that's still relatively sort of unknown, right? Jai Lucas, son of John Lucas, former Duke assistant who left Duke last season, sort of right before the ACC tournament to take the Miami job. And he loaded up. He got a bunch of dudes who can really play. And I'm not, that big on this Missouri team either. So I think that line should be closer to like -3, -3.5. And it's -1.5 right now for Miami. So we'll sort of end it out with a late night Friday where maybe you've had a couple of casual beverages and yet you still have one more game that you have to sweat deep into the night.
Deep into the Friday night. Then we wake up on Saturday, do it all again.
That's right. Absolutely.
Excited, looking forward to this weekend. Before you head out here, give me quickly one future pick, and also some advice to someone who has, you have a wife. You've been with her for a couple of years now, so you've managed many marches with her. How do you do it? You gotta give us some tips.
Well, I gotta tell you, man. Here's the trick. And we're gonna get off, kilter here a little bit. But why not finish strong? You remember the Seinfeld episode where Jerry is trying to do the roommate switch?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yes.
Do you remember what his suggestion was?
Yes.
So it's not about that.
Okay, I was gonna say, where are we going with this?
Do you remember when he comes back and what he says to George? She's into it, right?
Yeah.
Find somebody who's into it. And
right.
so, we met in 2018. So 2019 was her first tournament. On Friday, my friends and I always go to a well-known bar here in the city of Toronto and sort of shut it down, lock it down for the day. And at that point, again, we had been together for not that long. Maybe this was 2018, so we've only been together for a couple months. But anyway, the point is like she shows up, she's got a bracket filled out, she's ready to have a bunch of drinks and cheer on the teams and get disappointed by Kentucky and get her final two of her final four knocked out in the first round and all of that sort of thing, right? And so like this is a very sort of exciting time in our family, so that she's going to have the bracket printed out and she's going to bring it. And she'll be sitting there, on the kitchen table, just filling that thing out on Wednesday night. And so that's my big advice in that department. As far as the futures deal is concerned, the day after, I have to mention this to pat myself on the back, the day after the tournament last year, went on the podcast. Tournament ends on Monday night. Went on the podcast on Tuesday. Like, let's take a look at the old futures board for next season. We call out Michigan. At 25, 20 to 1, and make the bet on Michigan. So Michigan has been our team this year, and it was crazy in the start of the season when they're just winning games by 40 points, and you're just like looking around going, like, are we actually pulling this off? Like, do we win now? Like, do we have to play the tournament now? Unfortunately, things have happened down the lane here, and so the reason I bring that up beyond just to sort of hype myself. Is like I am incredibly worried in general about Michigan, but really more about a potential matchup in that region with Iowa State. Because Iowa State has the stuff. I'm a big pieces guy. I'm a big numbers guy, a big metrics guy, but I'm a big pieces guy as somebody who, 100 years ago played a little bit. I like the idea of like, okay, you have the shooter that like if you absolutely need a bucket, you can go to, in this case, Momcilovic, where it's just like that dude is making any shot that he's like if he's remotely wide open. You have the point guard who's going to run things and take care of stuff in Taman Lipsey. And that you have some of these other players that like even the supporting cast got sort of better and better over the course of the end of the season. So that's the one that I'm worried about. They are right now, where do we have them? 17 to 1 over at FanDuel, plus 340. Like that value isn't like crazy there, but when I'm looking at the bracket, and I'm sort of, obviously, doing a soft launch here, a soft fill of the bracket, it's like, the one team that I think is going to be sort of problematic if they get there for Michigan, because listen, we got guys, was the pound of weed situation for Alabama, which is an incredible like turn of events. Texas Tech, we talked about their sort of, ceiling, as again, credit to Corby for dropping a Georgia Bulldogs on everybody, and God bless him. But like, come on. You know, and again, like I love the call. Like
Yeah.
400 to 1. Like, you know, this is, you know, if somebody offers you 10,000 to 1, you take it. Like if there's a reasonable, you know, team here at 400 to 1, like you take it.
Willing dart to throw. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still might, because again, I'm completely terrified of what might happen to Michigan. But the one that I'm looking at, right, because it's like, all right, the rest of the deal is Virginia, and like they're intriguing, but like again, the block might be a little hot based on how they did in the ACC and how they did against what was a pretty compromised Duke team relative to, you know, when they're fully healthy, which is a whole other conversation. And then you got, you know, Rick Barnes, you know, full stop, down at the bottom there, where it's like every year, man, I get suckered into to Tennessee, and like every year I tell myself I'm not going to do it. But with Iowa State looming there as like a dangerous number 2 seed, I think that's one where I'm going to have to like add that into the portfolio, which includes, you know, Florida from earlier in the seasson, UConn from earlier this season, and Purdue from earlier on in the season.
All right, Iowa State to flesh out the portfolio. Matt, appreciate you joining the show. Appreciate you giving all those bets. We'll recap it towards the end of the show. Matt, appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Awesome stuff there for Matt. As always, quickly going through what he had: Vandy minus 11.5 Hawaii, plus 15.5 VCU, plus 2.5 Penn, plus 23.5 UCLA, minus 5.5 Kansas, minus 15.5 Miami, minus 1.5. Appreciate you guys joining the show. Do us a favor before we head out. Smash the like button. Goes a long way here on the channel. If you're new to the channel as well, hit the subscribe button. Welcome. If you're not on our Discord, what are you doing? Come join our Discord, discord.gg/thehammer. Appreciate you guys. Scan the QR code on screen. I'm going to head over to Circle's back room right now. Go watch us. Go watch me live. Circle's off YouTube channel. You'll get redirected right there towards the end of the show. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all our guests. Matt, Corby, Mike, behind the scenes, making everything run smoothly.
We appreciate you, Jay.
Appreciate you. It's been the Monday, March 16th edition of the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Bang Network, presented by our good friends over at FanDuel. We'll see you guys right here tomorrow.